The monthly rent is $1,847. You're 26 years old. The 340 square foot area sits on the wrong side of a road that no one uses after 7 o'clock. And first, last, and a cash security deposit are requested by the landlord, a man named Brett, who keeps a calculator on his desk like a paperweigh. You use a checking account that shows $11.42 to make the payment. On Tuesdays you sign. It's a pin. Your hand should shake, but it doesn't. A career does not begin here. This is where a position begins. You've been employed for 3 years. You were paid $62,400. You received a $4,800 bonus the year before. Lorraine, your manager, a woman with reading spectacles that she never used, told you that she could see you leading the department in 5 years. You said, "Thank you." You really did mean it. After that, you went home and calculated how to operate her department in 5 years. $112,000 was the result of the math. Your rent would also be greater according to the math. The trade was not a trade according to the math. With a better chair, there was a holding pattern. On a Thursday, you give up. Lorraine sobbed. You didn't. Your time is compounded by a career. Your choices are compounded by a company. Time is limited. Conclusions are not. There is one window and a ticking radiator in the 340 square foot space. Carlos, a man you purchase a desk from on Facebook Marketplace for $80, helps you transport it up 3 flights and declines to tip you. You spend $140 on a chair. You don't purchase anything else. For work that takes 11 days, the first client pays $2,400. You consume rice. You consume eggs. You sip coffee from a machine that tastes similar and costs $19. From a rooftop bar, your former coworkers share pictures. On a Tuesday at 11:43, you view the pictures. You shut down the application. The spreadsheet is opened. Paychecks are no longer used to measure months. You begin calculating months in terms of clients. The company makes $94,000 in sales and $31,000 in profit by the end of the first year. You give yourself $28,000. Since the second hire cannot wait while the bed frame can, you sleep on a mattress on the floor. Devin, a contractor from a different state who charges $45 per hour, is the second hiring. Devin outpaces you in speed. At the aspect of your job that you detest, Devin is superior to you. When you send him $3,600 for a project for the first time, you sit in the chair for a long time afterward, looking at the bank balance and realizing something you did not realize the day before. You didn't purchase his time. You purchased a duplicate of yourself. You are compensated for your presence with a paycheck. A company reimburses you for missing work. The work starts the day it goes on without you. $287,000 is the revenue. You move into a real apartment, not a fancy one but a real one. $2,150 is the rent. You spend $340 on a bed frame from a store whose name you can't pronounce. Priya, a part-time assistant you hire, takes care of billing and responds to emails in a tone that is a little friendlier than yours. You quit responding to emails on your own. This first week feels like a betrayal. Feels like oxygen in the second week. You can't recall why you did it at all by the third week. Your dad gives you a call. He takes pride in the cautious manner that men of his generation do. What do you make? He asks. You've said enough. He queries the definition of enough. You don't need to say anything if you say enough. The line was silent for a long time. Your mother and I were never able to say that, he says. You have no idea what to do with this sentence. Thus, you store it in a mental cabinet and shut it. You cease keeping track of your earnings. You begin to count the margins. Your former classmates are receiving promotions. Marcus, the man who sat 2 desks away from you, gets promoted to director. He makes $138,000 a year. Director of Strategic Partnerships is his title. On Wednesdays he posts about it. The post is successful. He is content. You're pleased for him. However, you do the arithmetic because you do it every time. Marcus's $138,000 comes in 26 bits, is taxed as income, and vanishes into a life that requires $11,200 a month to run. His time is not his own. The business that pays him rents it back to him. His life ends on a Sunday and the firm can stop paying him on a Friday. This is written in a notebook. You don't show anyone. What comes in is income. When nothing comes in, wealth is what remains. The first is safeguarded by a career. A company safeguards the second. $612,000 is the revenue. You have 1 full-time employee and 4 contractors. Ren is the employee that is in charge of operations. Ren is also 24 years old and smarter than you were at that age. And a little bored by the company's size, which is the right attitude. Ren receives $74,000 from you. You leave $187,000 in retained earnings after paying yourself $96,000. You don't purchase a vehicle. You don't purchase a watch. You spend $1,800 on a workstation that you use for 10 hours every day. Friends want to know how you spent the money. To be honest, you weren't using it at all. The aim is not the money. The scoreboard is the money. The machine is the point. While you sleep, you are constructing a tiny machine that turns your choices into money. Additionally, the machine is starting to hum at a frequency that you can feel on the floor for the first time. Rooftop bar. You no longer frequent the there, people discuss their managers. You don't have the vocabulary for that discussion anymore. You no longer feel lonely about it. You begin to keep quiet about it. Something breaks. On Mondays, Ren, the employee, gives notice. In the same month, 2 contractors depart. A $84,000 annual client stops talking and never gives an explanation. Revenue declines by 22%. On a Thursday, you wake up at 4:11 a.m. and are unable to fall back asleep. You have a drink of water and sit in the dark kitchen. Additionally, you are able to distinguish between a business and a job for the first time. You get paid to take on other people's stress. You get paid by a company to produce their own. Ren is replaced by someone you recruit. She is not as skilled. She improves. The contractors are swapped out. There is no replacement for the customer. You discover that a client's loss is a tuition payment rather than a hurt. And the cost of tuition was $84,000. You had created the business to rely on her, and that was the lesson. And you, not she, made that error. You rebuild discreetly, keeping the poor year a secret from everyone. In the same time frame, your former coworkers who are still paid are receiving 4% raises and feeling safe. You're not safe. You'll never feel safe again. You quit wanting to be at some point during the poor year. Employees purchase a sense of security with their freedom. Owners don't purchase it. They are unable to pay for it. There is $1.4 million in revenue. $487,000 is the profit. There are 9 of you. The work is no longer done by you. The task of organizing the work is your responsibility. You attend meetings to discuss meetings. Because someone you trust has read the contracts, you sign them without having read them yourself. The trust might be destroyed in an afternoon, but it took years to establish. Even if you are aware of this, you still sign because there is no other option than to read everything yourself. And the pitfall that killed every founder you have ever studied in silence is to read everything yourself. You go on your first actual vacation. 11 days in a seaside little town. Without you, the company doesn't function. On the 4th morning, you visit a cafe where the espresso costs €2.40 and check the dashboard once. The figures are acceptable. You shut down the laptop. You wait 7 days before opening it again. Nothing has burned down when you go back. 1/4 of an inch is released by something inside of you that has been gripped for 6 years. You cease to be the business. You become the company's owner. The initial stage of a business is a job that you are unable to leave. You can quit the second version of the employment. You can sell the third version as an asset. At the outset, most people give up on building. Sitting opposite from you at a table in a glass conference room, a man named Whitmore offers you $4.7 million for 60% of the company, while wearing a suit that only an expensive suit can fit. His temples are silver. He has black coffee. We like the margins, he says. The team appeals to us. We appreciate that you are no longer necessary. It's a compliment, he says. You interpret it as a compliment. Sitting in that chair, you also realize that the instant you were no longer necessary for the machine, it became valuable to everyone else. The deal is not accepted by you. 6 months later, you accept a smaller contract with a different buyer for better terms and less money. 70% is yours to keep. You remain there for 2 years. On a Friday in October, the wire arrives. The amount displayed on the screen is $2,184,000 after taxes are deducted, fees are paid, and Ellis, the attorney, takes her cut. You take a seat in the chair. You examine the figure. You don't feel what you anticipated. There's a silence that borders on disappointment. Then you realize that the quiet is what you were purchasing all along. The money was merely the receipt. The exit from a business is not its reward. The proof is the departure. The years you lived without fear of being fired because no one could fire you were the reward. You're 38 years old. You now have a daughter. She is 2 years old. Since nobody plans your Wednesday at 3:14 in the afternoon, you can pick her up from daycare on a Wednesday at that time. This is ultimately the only metric that matters, and it doesn't show up on any spreadsheet. 26, you wouldn't have comprehended it, and you wouldn't have tried to explain it to the version of yourself that signed the 340 square foot lease, since that version wouldn't have paid attention. On weekends, a career can buy you a life. On Wednesdays, a business can purchase you a life if it succeeds, which is rare. A young woman is signing a $2.90 monthly lease for 310 square feet on the wrong side of a roadway that no one uses after 7 o'clock in the evening. Brett's son is now the landlord. It's a pen. Her hand should shake, but it doesn't. There is $9,847 in her checking account. She has no idea where she is headed. All she knows is that the numbers at her job didn't add up. She has also performed a different calculation. This area was also necessary for the varied math. That's where it always begins. It will always do so.